Director Mike Kabawatan of DepEd Central Office, NIAP. The other team from Central Office, our invited resource speakers and experts who will be sharing to us some positive thoughts and ideas. All the participants, of course, our selected learners from different schools in the country. Good morning. Conceitedly, this is a gathering of people with mutual interests and kindred spirits who have nothing in mind but ensuring and enhancing the implementation of our Tech-Voc programs, or Tech-Pro skills programs in the Department of Education. This summit is a gathering of school heads, practitioners, partner institutions, and or industry partners that have crucial role in closing the gap between the needs of industries and the skills of our graduates, and to discuss how best to scale up the readiness of our learners through this linkage. Simply put, this activity or event serves as a platform for our stakeholders and educators, industry leaders, policymakers to collaborate on reducing or aligning skill gaps. It is my fervent hope that this crucial forum will come out with a plethora of enabling ideas and will synthesize trusts or policies that go along with to reorienting or reformulating our existing programs, even policies. And with the invited resource speakers and experts, I hope this forum will be enlivened, energized, and vivified by their thoughts and ideas, and that we will go home to our respective schools and field offices, bringing with us fresh ideas that will bring positive impact to our existing programs and activities. On behalf of the DepEd Calabarzon, as the host of this National Summit, with our 25 division offices and with about 120,000 school personnel, being the biggest region in the country. Two divisions are coming, Tagaytay and Tracy Martires. There are two pending bills creating the two additional divisions, making our Calabarzon March or Calabarzon hymn longer, because we mention all the divisions in our Calabarzon March or hymn. And every time we modify our Calabarzon hymn, the composer or lyricist of our Calabarzon hymn would charge us additional fee just to add new division. He's charging us, even if he is even if he used to be a part of the DepEd, he's a retired principal or school head. But he owns the Calabarzon hymn. So with that, we roll out our imaginary red carpet of Calabarzon region. Welcome, and may God bless us all.
Thank you very much, Attorney Alberto T. Escobar. Thank you very much, Attorney Escobarte, the Regional Director of the ever-growing Region 4A Calabarzon. Your warm words are really inspiring, and we really appreciate the hospitality that the region has extended for the provision of this activity.
And at this point, we wish to acknowledge, of course, the collective strength present in this hall to recognize our delegates from across the nation. Please welcome Ruel Capistrano, Supervising Education Program Specialist from Bureau of Curriculum Development.
A big round of applause, please.
Good morning. Before we formally begin, allow me to extend our heartfelt appreciation to all the participants who made time to be with us today. Your presence reflects our dedication to strengthening our work in the basic education and advancing the quality of our Filipino learners. Thank you for your openness, your commitment, and your continuous pursuit of excellence. We look forward to a productive and meaningful session today. So let's start with regions from Luzon. Region 1, please stand up to be recognized, and please give them a round of applause. And syempre, let us proceed with Region 2, Cagayan region. Together with, of course, ating mga kasamahang regional directors and ARDs for all the regions po. And syempre, from the Central Luzon, everyone from the Central Luzon together with their learners, welcome po. And our host region, Calabarzon, headed by Attorney Alberto T. Escobarte. Together with their learners, of course. No? Welcome po sa ating Tech-Voc Summit. Mimaropa. Everyone from Mimaropa, good morning. Bicol region. Participants from Bicol region. And let us proceed. From Visayas, Region 6. Good morning. Region 7. Morning po. Region 8. Thank you. For Mindanao cluster, we have Region 9. Participants from Zamboanga Peninsula. Region 10. Good morning. Region 11, Davao Region. Good morning po. Region 12. Magandang umaga. Caraga Region. Good morning po. Car. Siyempre. Okay, good morning po, ART. And from the National Capital Region. Together with their learners, good morning po, welcome po. So muli, welcome po at magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat.
Thank you very much to our SVEPs. Roel Capistrano for recognizing the presence of our participants. We'd also like to recognize our partners from DepEd Central Office, Bureaus and Services, Office of the Undersecretary for Learning Systems, Bureau of the Curriculum Development, National Educators Academy of the Philippines, Bureau of Learning Delivery, Public Affairs Service, Bureau of Learner Support Services, and Bureau of Alternative Education. And of course, we would also like to acknowledge the presence of our viewers because we are live streamed through our official websites in the DepEd Philippines. So those who are watching us, hello, you could send your likes and heart reacts.
Yes, and this time, let us listen to the message of our Director of Bureau of Curriculum Development. Please welcome Peter Mark D. Magsalin.
A big round of applause, please.
To our distinguished guests, RD Escobarte from Calabarzon, our ARDs, ARD Vergara, ARD Nidea, ARD Rodriguez from Antipolo, Ms. Jopin Romero from President of P Corp, Director Mick Kabawatan from NAYAP, Mr. McCoy Rubio from Newport Hotel, Ms. Zoe from one of our speakers also, no? And distinguished guests later. And of course, all the other industry leaders and speakers from the private sector and various associations, our dedicated partners from government, our DepEd colleagues. We also have some of our students here from the junior high school and senior high school levels, coming from the different regions. Thank you for making time. And of course, to everyone, no, magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat. So before we dive into the future of technical vocational education, we must personally extend our deepest gratitude to our hosts, to DepEd Region 4A, Calabarzon, under the leadership of Regional Director Alberto Escobarte. Sir, maraming salamat po. And the Schools Division Office of Antipolo City, led by Schools Division Superintendent Lerba Flandes. Ma'am, maraming salamat po. Thank you for your tireless efforts in organizing and providing the logistical backbone for this summit. This summit has been long overdue. We were supposed to have this last August, but of course there have been so many adjustments along the way. But now we are here, and we're very happy to welcome you all to this summit. Now, we also want to acknowledge those of you who have traveled from across the archipelago. Kanina po nakilala na natin yung mga participants of the different regions. Please receive this affirmation as warmly as you could, that your presence here, despite the long distances that you have traveled, proves that the commitment to our learners knows no geographic bounds. We are also profoundly honored by our top-notch resource persons from the different organizations and industries in the country. So we have tried very hard to get them all together to this summit. And we thank them for carving out time to be with us. So their generosity in sharing their time and expertise is the bridge between our classrooms and the global labor market. Right now, we stand at a pivotal moment with the EDCOM 2 final report as our impetus. We are driving a revolution in the senior high school program through the technical professional or Tech Pro track. Our reform agenda is anchored on 3 non-negotiable pillars. The first is capacity building. And this is to ensure that our teachers and even our school leaders have the industry exposure and TVET competencies necessary to effectively mentor our learners. The second is quality assurance. This means that we need to guarantee that every program, every Tech-Pro or TVET program meets national standards to ensure curriculum relevance and employability. The last is industry engagement. This is our most critical driving force. We must recognize that industry participation is the only way to strengthen the pipeline of school-to-work transition. By aligning our sectoral expertise with global labor trends, we ensure our curriculum remains responsive to the future of work. So today, and we have a long day today, I challenge you to give 101% of your participation. I urge you to make this more than a passive event. Make it an active one, but more importantly, a living dialogue. Find the time to get to know one another. Exchange your best practices and successful partnership models. But more importantly, share your challenges. It is in being honest about our bottlenecks that we find our most innovative solutions. Beyond the data and policies, it is the camaraderie and collaboration formed in this room that will matter most. We are not just colleagues, we are fellow champions and advocates of TVET. Engage, speak up, and let us build a future where every Filipino learner is future ready. Welcome to the National Tech-Voc Summit of 2026. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Director Magsalin. We are truly inspired by your words. We are here, right, Ken?
Yes, Ma'am Gail.
Yes, we are here. Tama po ba? And that is a source of inspiration that adds fuel to our enthusiasm to make this happen. Kaya, we are actively making this happen. Tama po ba? Right, everyone? Thumbs up naman po dyan. And we're also wanting some likes from our viewers. Right, Sir Ken?
Yes, of course, Ma'am Gail. And let's now move to the next segment of our program. Plenary Session 1 focuses on data-driven horizon, navigating the private sector's roadmap for national career readiness. To help us navigate this session, allow us to introduce our first plenary speaker.
Our first plenary speaker is a catalyst for the Philippines' digital workforce, operating at the intersection of policy and technology to address the job skills mismatch. As president of PCORP and head of the PSAC Education Job Secretariat, she drives the platform for a landmark senior high school work immersion pilot that is redefining education and workforce development. Beyond education, she shapes the regional economic landscape as senior advisor to the ASEAN Business Advisory Council Philippines, where she champions an inclusive framework for the country's digital and AI agenda. A former diplomat turned tech entrepreneur and CEO of Zip Financial Technologies, she brings a fusion of global experience and entrepreneurial grit to every initiative.
Please welcome the president of PSAC, Josephine Romero.
Let's give her a round of applause, everyone.
Good morning, everybody. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Okay, my name is Josephine Romero, and I'm from the Private Sector Jobs and Skills Corporation, or P-Corp for short. I'll explain a little bit what that is. It's a very, very young organization, But the heart of everybody in P Corp and PSAC, the Private Sector Advisory Council, is really huge. And this is for this very momentous time in our generation where education is the priority of our country. So, since marami naman po dito guro, no? Most of you are teachers, so you're used to people walking in front of the stage rather than in behind the podium. So I'll try to do that as well. But let me try and start my presentation first. Okay. I'm very, very happy that DepEd invited us, the private sector, to this momentous event, the Tech-Voc Summit, National Summit of the Department of Education. For years, for decades even, the private sector has really wanted to be very close to the education sector so that we can align our objectives, our goals, and our execution of what we want to develop the country. And we have experienced this in the last 4 years since President Marcos Jr. became our head of government. And for that, we are really happy. And equally happy is that for 2026, we have the biggest education budget ever in the Philippine history. I think that deserves a round of applause, right? So now that we have the money, the question is, how do we use it? And will we be able to use it as fast as we need to use it? So we have some ideas, which we will share with you. And these ideas are driven by experiments we've done with you, in selected schools with you. These are also driven by standards that the industry have shared with us. And some of them you will be hearing after my talk, because we will have a panel on that. And then some evidences also, or best practices, are coming from our neighbors around the world. So with this, we have been invited to share data-driven ideas and data-driven learning experiences, which we hope you will corroborate with your own experiences. Okay. Right. So, what is PSAC, Private Sector Advisory Council? This is not quite so often talked about in the news. Sometimes you see activities of PSAC, sometimes you don't. But this is a unique organization that only President Bongbong Marcos created. Unlike the other presidents previous to the Marcos Jr. administration, there would usually be a presidential advisor for a particular sector or topic that would help him make decisions or her make decisions. Now, under the Marcos administration, what he did was to convene all of the private sector, captains of industry, so that he can get the real information on the ground. So what he did was to set up 6 committees on topics that are very near and dear to the heart of the Philippine economy. And these are tourism, healthcare, agriculture, physical infrastructure, digital infrastructure, and education and jobs. I belong to the last committee, the education and jobs. That's PSAC Education and Jobs. Actually, when we started out in August of 2022, it was just PSAC jobs. And then every time we met with the president, which we do on a quarterly basis, all we would talk about was education. Education and workforce development. Why is that? Because we said that to future-proof the Filipino jobs, we have to have quality education and a real programmatic workforce development plan. Because of that, in 2023, he said, oh, let's change your group. Let's make it education and jobs. And let's make the focus of what you're doing really a coalition of education and jobs. So that's why here we are. Now, what we do is to advise the president on matters related to the topic I just mentioned to you. I'll give you some examples of successes so far that we've had in these particular sectors. If you go to the Department of Trade and Industry, they'll tell you that there are 20 or so priority sectors in the country. If you go to the Department of Science and Technology, same thing. If you go to different departments, they will say different sectors are priorities. And that is true, because we cannot leave anybody behind. However, for the PSAC Education and Jobs, what we did was to focus on those sectors where the Philippines has the biggest chance of becoming number one, was number one before, and now not number one anymore, but we can still go back to that level that we were before, or a sector where we have the biggest, the fighting chance to export and graduate from where we are now. And these are those sectors. So, of course, the Philippines is known as the healthcare services hub of the world. We needed to choose that, especially coming from the pandemic. Remember, we were set up in 2022. The COVID pandemic was just over by then, and we saw all the flaws of our system that we needed to fix. We want to maintain our status as the number one in digital experience hub. And our speaker in digital and IT-BPM will tell us more about that later. We want the Philippines to be known as a world-class maritime services, logistics, and supply chain. We have the people. 3 out of 5 seafarers in the world are Filipinos. So why can we not develop an industry that is in maritime, not just in producing maritime people, right? And then next, the light yellow, quite in the middle. We want the Philippines to be known as a desired location for tourism and hospitality. We have a speaker to tell you how that's happening. I mean, the Filipino character is so warm. We are the most So how come we are not able to monetize this? And then next, do you know that the biggest revenue source of the Philippines is manufacturing, particularly in semiconductors and electronics? 50 years ago, in 1974, the biggest and brightest semicon company, Texas Instruments, set up in the Philippines. And in the 80s and 90s, the Philippines was the envy of Asia because we had all the major semicon companies in the country. But now, we're so far from all of those accolades that I mentioned. But that is something that we need to fix. Electronics continues to be our number one export revenue source, and we need to expand and deepen it. Going to the pink one, we want to be a key player in renewable energy and EV, electric vehicle supply chain. I'm sure you've heard that the Philippines has a lot of minerals that are just waiting to be dug up off the ground. We want to be a mining hub, not for the sake of mining, but for the sake of developing downstream industries and feeding our manufacturing industries. And then finally, well, we still have a huge population in agriculture. As I was sharing with Director Mark and ARD earlier, Loida, agriculture is still something, and productivity in agriculture and entrepreneurship in agriculture is still something that we have to focus on. Being a farmer and being an agriculturist should not mean that we become poorer every day, but it should mean, like those from Region 1 in Nueva Ecija know this, the farmers in Nueva Ecija are some of the biggest millionaires in Region 3, and we want to replicate that around the country. So these were the priority sectors we chose, not only because of what I mentioned, but because of the committees in PSAC that we can work together on this. And when we looked at this, we said, now, okay, so private sector is invested in these sectors, in developing these sectors and growing them. Now let's work on government partnering with us so that we have a true PPP, public-private partnership, in nation building. Okay. So I'm not going to bore you with a lot of charts, but this is one of two charts I'll show you about with statistics. Parang gulpi di gulat. I'm sure you know this. The Filipino population is huge. Our labor or our workforce is huge. 64% of our population is part of the labor force. Isn't that a great thing? Ibig sabihin, we are our best asset. And when you talk to the industry, that's also what they say. And not only in number, but also in quality and in the way we learn. By 2030, the forecast is that we will be 124 million strong as a labor force. So this is a big opportunity. We're second only to India in Southeast Asia, Indonesia in Southeast Asia in terms of labor force. And we have the advantage of speaking good English and the reputation for learning fast. Now, this is only the second statistics, set of statistics that I will be showing you. This is just an example of how we, as industry, are looking at proofs that we can focus on something. This is for the semicon and electronics industry. Based on our discussions with TESDA, CHED, and DepEd, we know that there are about 1.5 million high school graduates every year. You can validate this, more or less, right? And from there are about 125,000 graduates in STEM. Now, do all these STEM graduates go to college? Not necessarily, because career paths do not lead only to one path, which is what you call this, university, college or university. There are so many other opportunities. So at the time that we were doing this extrapolation, this was in December of 2024 that we were doing it, because we were putting together the roadmap for the semicon and electronics industry of the Philippines. We said about 50,000 of these high school graduates actually go to vocational schools. The Director Mark, you'll validate that, right? And I believe we can increase this some more. But even now, the government is investing so much money in Tech-Voc education, from the fundamentals, from basic education to TESDA, so that this 50,000 and more could be fed. And then and so on and so forth. Sayang, oh look, 950,000 high school graduates get no further education. Not TESDA, not micro-credentialing, not university. So that's opportunity. It's a challenge to us to catch them, but more than that, it's an opportunity for us to make their lives better. All right, so moving on, still telling you about P Corp. I mean, I'm belaboring the introduction to B Corp just so you understand how we really are sincerely eager to help you, and we want to do the help through public-private partnership. So as I mentioned, the President said, how come every time you see us, you talk about education and workforce development? So we said, okay, let's do public-private partnership. And he said, fine, do it. And that's where P Corp was born. That was from our meeting with him on May 18, 2023, when we formalized that opportunity. We were hoping that it would be just like what India is doing, what Australia is doing, what Germany is doing, that we would be a true PPP institution. But our laws preclude us from doing that. Even after talks with NEDA, then NEDA, now DepDev, the PPP Center, unfortunately, our rules as a country do not allow that. However, we have now a fully private sector organization called P Corp, and which is a nonprofit that was set up in February of 2024 so that we can do these partnerships, example of which that we're doing with DepEd. And I'll get to that in a little bit. But the point of P Corp really is only one, forget everything you see in front of you. But the primary goal of P Corp is to address the job skills mismatch in the country. And in microcosm, during the experiment or the pilot that we've been doing in the last year or so, we found that, for instance, in one conglomerate that offered 300 jobs available or 300 job matches available for students, grade 12 students, less than 30 were matched. And I'll explain to you why in a minute. Okay? So P Corp's strategy and work stream for 2026 is being reaffirmed. There are only 3 things we want to do to address the job skills mismatch. Number 1, we want to continue advising government on enabling policies for workforce and industry competitiveness, not necessarily to change the rules. We're here to test the rules, we're here to test the policies, and work with government agencies to improve them. As President Marcos have told us, he does not want any new agency or council or new group to be created in government. However, he wants to see that our laws and our policies are actually working for us. And that's something that we are doing in close coordination with government. In this particular case, we're partners with you, DepEd, with TESDA, with CHED, with DOLE, with DMW for the education and workforce development. For C, our second biggest goal is to coordinate private and public initiatives on human capital development. So we have programs with the Civil Service Commission, for instance, to equip about 10,000 to 50,000 civil servants in GovTech. As part of our pilot with the DepEd, we equipped the 200 teaching personnel and non-teaching personnel belonging to the pilot in AI and pedagogical training, things like that. Oh, and also we involved ourselves in putting together the national AI upskilling strategy. And then lastly, T, for our ACT, we test scalable models to implement existing policies, as I mentioned earlier. Okay? So these are some of the things that we've been doing. This Ascend program that you see here, this is a program that we've been developing with the Department of Trade and Industry that has a direct impact on education. Why is that? This is for industry transformation. And industry transformation starts at the beginning of the pipeline, which is K-12. And then I mentioned this already, AI training. And then, the first one up here, one of the gains that we've had in the last 4 years of working with this administration is that we finally got a precedent to actually look at the semiconductor electronics industry again so that we can become the #1 that we were in the 80s and 90s. All right. Director Mark mentioned the EDCOM report and the NAT plan, which is going to be launched tomorrow, correct, Director Mark? So we were also heavily involved in bringing industry to consult with government on this. And we also worked on industry to help fund this study, which, in the words of Secretary Sani Angara in our last meeting with the President last November, he sees the NAT plan as the gift that keeps on giving. And hopefully when you read it, you will also be convinced of that. And it is something that in the next 10 to 30 years, we should be implementing to future-proof the Filipino worker. And then now we get to where we actually learned a lot by working directly with you in some of the schools. I saw some of the school heads here who are part of this, this program. And later, when you see them and you know them anyway, you can chat with them to verify our learnings. So back in August of 2024, or no, 25 pala, last year lang, Director Mark, Secretary Sani has been a secretary for less than a year, correct? 1 year na. Okay, so this was August of 2024. But in that 1 year, almost 1.5 years, we've accomplished a lot, and this is one of them. What is this enhanced work immersion program that we have done with a few of your schools? Well, we describe it as a high-impact coalition between the Department of Education and P Corp. This is not a simple MOA signing. It is a living thing because we work closely with you on how you do your bureaucracy and how you implement the K-12 program for industry transformation. And the industry accepts the students and looks to your teachers and your school administrators to identify gaps and work together in filling them. So that's how we see this enhanced work immersion program. The enhanced work immersion program is also a program that will drive employability, from awareness to employability. If you saw earlier my title, the subtitle of my presentation is From Compliance to Competency. We want us, the Filipino people, and DepEd in particular, to go beyond words. Yung lip service ba? To go beyond lip service and actually implement things for impact. So we want the work immersion program of DepEd to really mean that our students, when they graduate, they can set up their own businesses or be hired and follow their dreams, their career dreams. And then third bullet is empowering the enablers. This is really for you, for the teaching and non-teaching personnel of the schools and DepEd. Part of it, I already mentioned, we trained 200 teachers and administrators for the pilot program in AI and EdTech pedagogy, sponsored by a partner from Silicon Valley, bringing experts from Silicon Valley to the Philippines. And then fourth bullet, this program is also for curriculum bridging and finding out what gaps there are in our curriculum so that our students, when they go out, are really competent and ready for professional certification. And finally, this partnership is a targeted collaboration where the industry becomes an extension of learning because your students, when they go out to the industry, are exposed to the workplace, and by the time they're finished there, well, exposed to the workplace, and not just exposed, but they're actually using the equipment that they would be using if they are working there as full-time workers. And after that, they would be ready and prepared for professional certification. So here are some examples. Here, Fast Tech Work Immersion Pilot with senior high school students. Luckily, we have the president of Fast Tech here, and you will hear more about this from him later on. And then towards the middle of the slide, that's a photo of teachers' EdTech training conducted by Global Learning Access. Right. So, the skills gap that we try to identify, are seen in the process of this pilot. So we started out with 80 hours of job shadowing, which creates awareness. I know that you also have memorandum circulars that allow up to 320 hours, which is good. But I think that is not as prevalent as the 80 hours. Now, consulting with industry and looking at international standards, looking at Germany's dual tech, looking at the United States career tech education, looking at the other countries that are doing this, we saw that the international standard for employability is something like 450 to 600 hours. So we consulted with the Philippine industry, and they have their own, their very specific requirements. Yun na nga, you're going to hear from our friends later on about this. And they also have specific objectives. But the point is, from simple job shadowing and doing mechanical activities, we have made the Enhanced Work Immersion Program a cooperative education where the students feel as if they are actually full-time workers in industry. So they get the full onboarding, even the experience of going through first-time employment activities, and so on and so forth. And then what we've learned can be encapsulated in 3 short stories that I will share from this slide forward. Tanza in Cavite is one of those that was really, really very excited and volunteered early to be part of this program. Is anybody from Tanza here? Yes, ayun. Yes. I see you. Okay. Ayan. You know, talagang napakagaling nitong mga Tanza. They volunteered from the very beginning that they can do this. And also you'll see that they have a lot of partners. They already have a lot of partners, and yet they said, we want to be part of this. Why is that? I'm sure because they wanted to improve how they did things. Now, Tanza is in Region 4A. And in Region 4A, we have a lot of industrial parks. But why is it that we had difficulty matching? The problem is, we placed the burden on the schools to find partners after the tracks were offered, before consulting with industry on what it is they needed. Medyo nangangamote talaga kami. We were pulling hair trying to match people with the right industry. So the lesson here is, we really cannot force industry to exist where it does not. If in Tanza, or if in Laguna, we have the industrial parks, but Tanza being in the coastal area, there are no industrial parks where the more technical courses are going to be hired, or at least matched, then we really have a problem. So anyway, we were able to work things out, but not without difficulty. So that's one scenario. Another scenario, I mentioned earlier that one conglomerate made available 300 slots. This was personally handled by the head of that conglomerate, because not only do they have their department stores, but they have affiliates like Dyson, like Watson, not just retail, but also with distribution, logistics, and assembly and manufacturing. But look, 272 slots out of 300 were rejected by the schools. And the reason being, some of the things we heard, oh, my student is studying electronics, working in a mall does not match. And then there were schools that said, oh, retail does not really offer the best soft skills training or the best skills that our students need. Sayang. Because there would have been skills like customer service, discipline, and communication that would have been learned by the students. And then for the technical skills, what we could have done if we had time was to work with the industry on those gaps. We can bridge those gaps. So, but then of course, we understand it. DepEd has existing rules. And these are learnings that can help us, that can inform us in improving our rules, right? So, please don't look at all of these things I'm sharing with you as negative. These are learnings. And you of all people, because you are educators, know that learnings are opportunities for us to improve. Okay? So we are proposing a shift to gap analysis. Instead of asking, does it match? We can ask, what is the gap? if a Tech-Voc student goes into a retail environment, the technical part might be the gap. In this particular case, that would be a good example. Fine. Then, the school and the partner can agree on a bridging program to cover that specific gap. While the industry partner trains the student on the universal skills of work, then we think of electives or even another partner to fill in the technical gap. We really cannot afford to let perfect be the enemy of employed. If the industry is willing to train, we must be willing to build the gap, to build the bridge, I mean. Remember, these are 14 schools in urban or semi-urban areas. When we roll out this expanded work immersion program to the rest of the country, we will be even more challenged. Although incidentally, we're thinking of that as well. We're already thinking 10 steps in advance and talking to the Department of Trade and Industry and the Philippine Chamber of Commerce to help small and medium enterprises so that they can be more partners for DepEd. Okay? Now, the last story, based on our experiences, would be the Magsaysay and First College Rule story. This is a model where we look at the school in industry as a solution. I mentioned this earlier, where, look, can you find this equipment in any school? No. We tried. We put together a mechatronics setup in Marikina Polytechnic schools where high school in Malanday can access it. And after high school, they can go there and actually get scholarship funded by the district representative, get allowances, get free tuition, and get a job after. But that's lucky because we had a partner willing to put that there. Other areas will not be so lucky. Now look at those equipment. Even Magsaysay gets some of their equipment from their client partners. And we want our schools, our students to take advantage of that. So this would, of course, mean we have to reverse the school-centric model where we choose the school before we choose the partner or the track that we want to focus on. Right? So it will address the logistical and equipment issue that we have. It also enforces locational alignment. When we started this program, we said, okay, with the priority sectors that we want to focus on for DepEd, the industries where these are in Region 4A, in CAR, Region 3, and so on and so forth. Region 7, Region 11. But we ended there. We did not get down to the fine detail of the proximity of the industry and the school, which is why we had that Tansa story, diba? Anyway, so those are food for thought, no, for everybody. And then finally, this targeted collaboration adopts partner-led selection. When the head of Magsaysay Shipping, Magsaysay Group of Companies, explained this to the president last November, she said that they go to schools that are willing to work with them to identify the gaps and fill in the gaps in the training. Very happy now that your Tech-Voc program has an extensive list of electives. Now, what do we do with those electives? Those electives will remain a list or a menu, a Chinese menu, unless we make them relevant to our program. So these are some of the suggestions we have to make those relevant to you. Okay? So anyway, in a nutshell, what we're really trying to say is that we go beyond compliance. We go beyond the bureaucratic rules of DepEd and the country. I know we have COA, we have all of these policies that we have to follow. But let's look at, let's look beyond that. Let's look at the impact of what we're doing. So look at the policy, coordinate more closely and identify gap analysis, institutionalized gap analysis, And then look at small experiments and see how we can scale this. Medyo ninenervous kami, Director Mark, for next year when we're looking at 800 schools or 800 plus schools instead of just 14. So whoever partners with DepEd, and I think there would be many who would want to partner with DepEd on that, would be challenged without the changes. Now, the last item that I mentioned, second to the last item I put in the definition of EWIP is empowering the enablers. Just to talk a little bit more about how we trained the teachers and non-teaching personnel in the pilot schools. So we brought in some experts from California. I think one of them was also from Chicago. So it was a training where after 3 days of training, whatever the teachers learned were immediately applicable. And based on our school visit, months after the training, we were very pleased to find out that the teachers, the educators were able to equip their students. Naghabol ba sila? Equip their students sufficient enough that when they went out to their work immersion partners, they were at least able to keep up with what the industry needed at the beginning. And then from there, grew based on the training plan. So, kasi po, medyo naghahabol talaga tayo eh. I mean, we're implementing this at the grade 12 level when we know that we should be preparing our students even as they are in their 6th grade, 7th, 8th, 9th, and so on, right? We cannot start at grade 12. But we have to start somewhere, so we started anyway. Now we're learning that your theory and our theory is correct, that we have to start early. But absent that, we made sure that we equip the teachers so that at least they can help the students. And then moving forward, we want this to also be something that the teachers and the educators will learn from the beginning. So our partner, Global Learning Access and P Corp, are in active talks with schools like the Philippine Normal University and the National Teachers College, so that this kind of pedagogy would also be part of the basic education course and masteral programs of this teacher education institutions. So we really are trying to prepare for the future. So anyway, we trained 203 educators in July and November of 2024. These are from schools in 11 regions in the country. So to us, that is a great achievement of our partner, who, by the way, did not at all ask us for any money for this. All right, so just to summarize, our measures for success for this Enhanced Work Immersion Program are to see that our youth can really be employable, that they have, that the Philippines and the world will have more access to a skilled workforce, that there would be a better job skill matching, no? And then a seamless school and industry collaboration. Practice makes perfect. We continue to practice, we continue to try and work together and build a real relationship. And then, of course, with your objectives in Tech Pro, improved Tech-Voc livelihood curriculum that will be ladderized with from DepEd to TESDA, and later on, those who want to continue improving themselves to CHED. And then, of course, we cannot forget and we cannot overemphasize this, enhance the capability of work immersion teachers, our educators in general. So, the data, I hope, speaks for itself, sharing here with you some of the results so far, because the pilot is still going on, in the early pilot, we had the 99% completion rate, and these numbers were aligned with the work group in charge of this within DepEd. The passing rate in national certification was 73.8, and then those who were hired immediately were about 1/5. We thought this was low, but then we were told that this is good enough because previously it was in the single digits. So now you see here 55.4% pursued college. That's good. That's really good. But in the program that we have now for micro-credentialing and Tech-Voc training and the resources that government is putting in this career pathway, I think it is on us to start including this actively in our language, in our communication with the students, the parents, and the community, so that more will take advantage of this opportunity for Tech-Voc. Now, as a last word, I guess this is what I will leave you. Remember that success is more than just a completed timesheet. We want high impact, and we are at the right time in our generation to make that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, PSAP President Josephine Romero, for that comprehensive and enlightening discussion. I'm sure each one of us have gained insights so that we would be able to make informed decisions so that we'll be on the right track. So allow us po to express our gratitude to our speaker by presenting the certificate of recognition. May we request Director Magsaling to join us in awarding this certificate.
Let me read the citation. Republic of the Philippines, Department of Education, DepEd Complex, Meralco Avenue, Pasig City. Certificate of Recognition. The certificate is presented to Josephine Romero in recognition of invaluable contributions as plenary speaker during the National Tech-Voc Summit 2025 National Celebration of Tech-Voc, held at the Great Eastern Hotel, Quezon City on January 28, 2026. Given this 28th day of January 2026 in Quezon City, Philippines. Signed, Carmela C. Oracion, Assistant Secretary, Officer in Charge, Office of the Undersecretary for Learning Systems.
Again, let's give a big round of applause to our first panel our speaker.
And Ma'am Gail, may I just remind our online viewers that if they have questions, they can ask them using the comment section of our live stream. And that was just the first plenary session. We have a lot in store for you. Right, Ma'am Gail?
Yes, Sir Ted. We certainly have a lot in store, and I'm sure the first session alone has given us so much information already. This time,
we now proceed to panel discussion 1, the future of work, aligning sectoral expertise with global labor trends. To facilitate this exchange, we are pleased to give the floor to our moderator, Maricel Carino, Senior Education Program Specialist of the Bureau of Curriculum Development. A round of applause, please.
Magandang umaga. Magandang umaga po. Ayan, maganda ako. Okay. This morning is very bright and this morning is very nice. Having our powerhouse invited guests and of course our powerhouse participants this morning. And of course, thank you, Ma'am Ofin Romero, our PSAC President, for this endeavor for our senior high school learners in DepEd. DepEd is truly grateful of what PSAC have contributed in the work immersion as we go along with the Senior High School Tech Pro Strengthen Senior High School Curriculum. This is the beginning of a more impactful partnerships. So I'm very grateful to share with you our powerhouse panelists this morning and to help us navigate the rapidly evolving landscape of the emerging technologies and skilled labor. We have invited group of visionary leaders, and that was started by Ms. Alvin Romero. And these leaders who will bridge the gap between the classroom and instruction and industrial excellence, which lacks in the classroom because of so many conditions. If I may say, I call these leaders as a powerhouse industry panel discussion. Please join me in welcoming them. And to begin with, allow me to read their very humble bio notes. To start with, I am very privileged to introduce to you our first panel discussant. He is a dedicated educator and curriculum specialist with academic and industry practice backgrounds. The Supervising Education Program Specialist of the Bureau of Curriculum Development, Curriculum Standards Development Division, overlooking of the EPP or Edukasyong Pantahanan at Pangkabuhayan, the Technology and Livelihood Education, the Technical Professional Track, or the Technical and Vocational Livelihood Education. He is the Supervising Education Program Specialist of the Department of Education Central Office, a degree holder in International Hospitality Management with continuing Juris Doctor Studies. Mr. Capistrano, the distinct combination of education, law, hospitality expertise, a regular speaker of both national and international conferences. He is an active participant in curriculum innovation and policy making, promoting work readiness and quality Tech-Voc education to Filipino learners. Please have a warm round of applause to Ms. Dr. Roel A. Capistrano. Ayan. Pagsawaan niyo muna po yung mukha niya. Just kidding. Our next powerhouse industry panel discussant is an academic administrator and a talent developer leader with more than 15 years of progressive experience in higher education management. His career spans academic operations, student services, industry partners, quality assurance, and organizational process development. He currently serves as the head associate and dean of the Academy for Leisure and Tourism of Newport World Resorts, the Integrated Resorts Talent Development Arm. In his role, he leads the Academy's strategic direction, capacity building initiatives, industry-aligned learning pathways and programs that strengthens the workforce excellence across hospitality, leisure, and tourism. Prior to joining the Newport World Resorts, Sir held the key administrative roles in academe before he honed his expertise in process documentation, accreditation compliance with both local and international bodies, and continuous quality improvement for academic and administrative units. He later advanced to the Stephen Swelly Graduate School of Development Management at the Asian Institute of Management, serving as a school manager and overseeing flagship graduate programs in development management and disaster crisis leadership. Today, as head and associate dean of ALD, Sir continues to champion academic excellence, industry-relevant training, and service leadership, advancing talent development for one of the country's premier hospitality and tourism institutions. Please help me welcome with a warm round of applause to Mr. Macoy Rubio Mark Ross. All right. Powerhouse, because our third panel discussant, suki na po ito ng DepEd. to every consultation that we're having. Suki po siya ng DepEd. She is the Academe Linkages and Talent Attraction Lead of the IT and Business Process Association of the Philippines, or the IBPOP, where she coordinates and oversees pre-workforce talent initiatives. The other hat that she wears is a master trainer for adept and SMP programs. She brings with her many years of experience as a training manager in an NGO and TVI. IBPOP is the primary trade body and advocacy group of the country's agile, dynamic, and resilient information technology and business process management industry, with over 400 industry and support industry members, including multiple subsector associations. Once again, help me welcome Ms. Zoe Diaz de Rivera. And another prime from our panel discussant is a business executive and industry leader who has served as the president of Fastech Synergy Limited since January 2005. He has experience in operations, manufacturing, and finance. In addition to his role as a Fastech, he is a board director of the First Asia Institute of Technology and Humanities and an adjunct professor of the Asian Institute of Management. His educational background includes degrees from the Asian Institute of Management and the University of Santo Tomas, as well as secondary education from Leyte Normal University. He is known for his expertise in outsourced semiconductor assembly and test, or OSAT, which products are highly reliably electronics. Please help me welcome Mr. Alan P. Temonera. So, let us welcome and have a warm round of applause for our panel discussant. And let's also have a photo opportunity. May I request our Director, Peter, to have our panel discussant have the photo op. At this juncture, I would like to request our first discussant, again, they will be delivering a very short presentation, so bear with us. Then later on, we're going to have a few questions to be entertained. Let us welcome once again on stage, Dr. Roel A. Capistrano.
Magandang araw po sa ating lahat. Okay. My presentation entitled Hobby. Okay. Interlacing curriculum, industry, and global labor realities for the future of work. Like a finely crafted weave, no? The EPP, TLE, TVL, and the Tech-Voc curriculum is not built from isolated strands. It is a hobby, an intentional interlacing of foundational skills, technical competencies, sectoral expertise, and global labor trends. In this presentation, mga ma'am and sir, dearest students, learners, we examine how the curriculum must continue to evolve so that what we have or weave in classrooms today becomes the fabric of employability, adaptability, and dignity of work tomorrow. The global workforce is changing napakabilis. Automation, digital jobs, green skills, and cross-border work are shaping, or rather reshaping the labor market. Our curriculum must keep pace. And that is why we must weave deliberately and purposefully. Yeah. Next slide. The hobby concept. Let me start with this. In any weave, three things matter: the loom, the threads, and the hands that weave. In education, mga ma'am and sir, the curriculum, no, is our loom. The competencies and the industry skills are our threads. And we, the supervisors, the regional directors, the ARD, superintendent, and our school leaders, the teachers and learners are the weavers. In any part, if it is weak, the entire fabric tears. The next slide, I'm going to show you the 4 threads of the weave. Here is how we weave a curriculum that prepares our learners for the world of work. The first one is the thread 1, rather, the EPP and the TLE. Okay. The building foundational life skills. The thread 2, the TLE, discovering passions and skills through exploration. And the thread 3, the TVL, or the technical professional track, the specialization and the certification. And the thread 4, industrial alignment, which was mentioned by the first plenary speaker, the warp and the weft of the future. Now, let us discuss what is thread 1, the EPP building foundation life skills. In grades 4 to 6, as you can see on your screen, Edukasyong Pantahan at Pangkabuhayan, the technology and livelihood education, is the first strand of the weave. Here, learners develop the home skills, habits of work, introduction, pagkakaroon ng disiplina, pagkamalikhain, pagkilos, paggawa gamit ang mga kamay. These are not just home skills. They are life skills. Do you agree? Do you agree? All right. That make the fabric strong early on. The thread 2, the TLE, Technology and Livelihood Education, discovering passions and skills through exploration. TLE is our exploratory stage, offering learners a chance to experience the basic and common competencies in grades 7 and 8 coming from the industry, and the select core competencies of the industry from information, communications and technology, agriculture and fishery arts, family and consumer science, and industrial arts. This is where learners find what fits their strengths and interests, the colors and patterns of their own weave. Exploration builds confidence and identity. Thread 3, the TVL or the Technical Professional Track, specialization and certification. In the TVL or the Technical Professional Track, the weave becomes more defined and industry linked. Here, learners gain a certification, a national certification. Take note, this is free certification. With the DepEd Order Number 3, Series of 2025, a joint memorandum circular signed between the Department of Education and the Technical Education Skills Development Authority. Industry-aligned competencies, employability, and entrepreneurship skills. This is part of the weave that must match the global labor trends, including the 21st century skills. Our goal is to produce work-ready graduates who can adapt to the world of work. Thread 4, this is the last thread. The industry alignment, the warp and the weft of the future. Industry standards and global workforce trends act as the warp and weft that guide the weave. Without the industry alignment, we already know the answer. The curriculum becomes updated, learning becomes irrelevant, graduates struggle to find employment. But with the strong linkages We ensure the curriculum relevance is very explicit. We prepare learners for real jobs, and we align skills with global demand. Industry is not outside the curriculum. Industry is woven into it. As a challenge to all of us, to our school leaders, let us ensure the loom is strong. The systems, the standards, the policies must support our schools. To our teachers, you are the master weavers. Every lesson is a demonstration. Every laboratory activities strengthens the fabric. And to our dear learners, you are the very fabric we are creating. Your skills, discipline, and dreams will show how strong is this weave can be. As a closing line for my presentation, ang hinaharap ay hindi hinuhulaan. Ito ay hinahabi. At ang bawat strand or component ng EPP, TLE, TVL, isama na natin. Ang SPTVE, TechPro ay bahagi ng kinabukasang ito. Maraming salamat po.
Okay, thank you very much po, sir. And that is a very interesting way of presenting the ideas. Tama ba, Sir Ken?
Yes, Ma'am Gail, no? Tayong lahat ay maghahabi.
Yes.
Tama, yan.
Oo, na we are all part and parcel of something beautiful. So that's a very interesting way of looking at things. So thank you very much po. And that's just one, the first of the many other discussions that we're gonna have. So maganda siyang panimula sa ating panel discussion today.
Definitely, Ma'am Gail. And so, let's welcome back our moderator, Ma'am Maricel Carino. A round of applause, please.
Okay. Thank you, Sir RC, for that hobby. So let's make it a habit to find our learners some time of hobbying yung kanilang future. So the word for the day, hobby. What's the word for the day? Hobby. Thank you very much. And to welcome once again on stage our second panel discussant. Once again, let us welcome Mr. Alan P. Timonera.
Good morning, magandang umaga. And probably I'll just say this just in case they are here, maupay nga aga. There's so much to pack, and I'm glad the previous speakers have already done the groundwork. So that makes my job a little bit easier. Now, this would be your first, perhaps some of you would have probably your first idea of what previously Jopin has been talking about, why the 7 segments. And in particular, this morning, I would like to talk about the industry of semiconductors and electronics. I may be able to say something more than I should, but hihingin ako ng patawad sa inyo. Ay paghahaluin ko na rin yung English at saka Tagalog. Don't worry, I'll not talk in Bisaya. Okay. Now, why is this industry considered important? Our industry is global. To put it into context, yung isang araw namin na output, hindi kayang i-absorb ng ekonomiya ng Pilipinas. Ganong kalaki. And the global semiconductor last year generated close to $700 billion po yun. Ganong kalaki. And what is that? It's the every phone that you have, every TV that you have, every time you ask ChatGPT, that's us. Next one. Now, in the context of the Philippines, we are a major participant in this global industry. We exported, I was just looking at the numbers lately because the official report will come up from the Philippine Statistics Office, but safe to say we will probably hit around 48 billion of exports this year. Now, that's an improvement as well from the previous years of around 42.6 billion. So we're growing in spite of the global uncertainties that we're facing. Around 38 billion of that are what we call semiconductors. Now, I want to emphasize that point because this will tie up, it's not about business. Business cannot exist without the workforce. And I want you to see how that idea flows from here to the classroom. Meron hong solid na connection yon. That's 5.5%, by the way, of the global. Not so big, but not insignificant either. If we were to shut down the entire Philippine operations, marami hong mapiperiwisyo na bansa. To give an idea, very briefly, ano ba itong mga ginagawa ng mga kumpanya dito sa Pilipinas that are involved in the semicon and electronics industries? We do what we call the assembly, the test, and the packaging, or ATP. Maybe first time you've heard of it, but bear with me. Some are involved in what we call electronic manufacturing services. The first one makes the components. The second one puts those components into what we call subsystems. Okay? Others are involved in the manufacture of raw materials. There are those companies here in the Philippines that exist now to do those things. From metal, copper, because that's one of the major components, copper, and Philippines has a lot of that. They are also participants in this industry. Last but not least, I think this was mentioned, is what we call integrated circuit or IC design. Ito yung tinatawag natin ng mga chips. The brains of computers, laptops, lately of the vehicles that we are seeing today. These are happening today in the Philippines. One way to look at it in the context of, now I'm moving it to the education aspect, it dominates. Actually, the electronics comprises 60% of the commodity exports or merchandise. The others are agricultural, minerals, garments. They comprise 40%. 60% comes from this sector. It's very important. While I said earlier, it's going to be 48 this year. Historically, I came into this industry close to 4 decades ago. Nasa 8 billion pa lang yon. Umabot na rin sa 48. But while it is an accomplishment, it's nothing to celebrate because the global industry is very competitive. In fact, Malaysia, as was mentioned earlier, has a population of 36 million. We have 124. We were ahead of them 20 years ago. They now export 65 and we are at 48. We cannot take this for granted. Wala po tayong Torrens title sa industriya na to. We have to keep on working every day, not only in the business, but most especially the supporting development of the workforce. Our industry employs directly and indirectly 2.5 million Filipinos. Let that percolate a bit. 2.5 million po ang nakikinabang. Everyone from the operator ng boarding house near the factory to the bus operators, because our industry, hinahatid, sinusundo po namin yung mga empleyado namin. Yung naglalaba ng aming mga importanteng special na damit, ang tinatawag namin sa clean room. It's not about all technology. For everyone direct employed by our industry, another 6 is created. Yung nag-ooperate ng kantin, yung nag-ooperate ng laundromat, wala na pong oras sila maglaba. So there is a big impact in the communities where our industry operate. And just like, and it will be mentioned later, between the BPO, the electronic industry, these are key drivers to our GDP. Now, why do I mention GDP? The overall arching is, we are a 500 billion economy today. Itong itsura ng 500 billion. In 2033, if we do the right things, we should be 1 trillion economy. Iba ang itsura po ng 1 trillion economy. Sana umabot ako doon. Our neighbors, only Indonesia is a $1 trillion economy. We would be bigger than the rest. But it takes work. Every day, every week, every year. Okay. The industry I was talking about is going to be a $1 trillion from 700 billion last year. It's going to happen. If we don't take it, somebody else will. It's for ours to lose. And what does that mean in numbers for us here in the room? As I said, we employ 300,000. These are operators, technicians, engineers, a few managers like me. I've spent a good deal of my life, 38 years in this industry. Here's the crux. We need 130,000 in 3 years' time to 2030. If we only want to preserve our 5.5%, the industry as a whole will grow. Are we going to be a part of it? We would want to. Is capital the only hurdle? No. Workforce and manpower. The right one, anyway. And so, to grow that, we need 130,000. And who are these? We need 90,000 operators. We need 30,000 technicians. We need 10,000 engineers. And they are all concentrated in the 4 regions of Metro Manila, Calabarzon, Northern Luzon, Central, and Cebu. Where can we actually do that? And so let me bring you to the last slide, last couple of slides anyway. The electronics industry, our company is one of those that was mentioned earlier. We took the initiative. We can no longer be a bystander. We need to be part of the development of the workforce. Not all company will be like that, but a lot of companies are waking up that we have to be a part of the process. EWP is one of the most commendable that I have seen in my entire career, and that's why I asked our management team to participate. And so, as I wrap this up, here are the key points I would like to leave this room. The current pilot that has taken place has validated that an industry-defined development program delivered the skills. The classroom is where you get knowledge. We refine it into skills, either on the job or through a laboratory. However, there's always a however, private enterprises will always have a limited resource. We cannot scale and churn enough. On our own, we cannot turn out the 130,000. We could probably do 10-15% of that. And therefore, to scale, we need to coordinate, among other things, the idea of geographical clustering. And when I say geographical idea, and this is true, you cannot locate the school more than 10 kilometers away. The students don't have pamasahe. We have to give the pamasahe to the students to come to the factory on our own account. We bring them to the pickup point of our shuttle buses. Again, not all regions need to do this. Other regions were probably better suited for agriculture engineering, like where Dole is, where Del Monte is. That would be a different story for that sector. This is one thing we would like to also emphasize. You have to provide career guidance. Imagine we're going to train 1,000 technicians and 800 of them decide to go to college. 200 na lang ang natira. Walang masama pumunta sa college. Pero I saw the numbers, marami din naman hindi tumutuloy eh. Hanapin natin yung walang planong tumuloy talaga sa college. Okay? That's what we ask. And of course, we have to fund this because resources are not going to be enough. I leave you with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Alan. 2.5 millions employed directly and indirectly. That's huge. And that has an impact already to our senior high school. So let's practice once again, HABI. I-HABI natin ang assembly, test, and packaging and the ATP in the creation of electronics manufacturing services. These 2.5 millions employed directly and indirectly might be one of our senior high school learners soon. And in the direction of Sir Alan, let us practice the mapping of industries relevant to your schools, to your community, and to your region. So with that, we will be able to produce a more productive learner senior high school from this generation. Okay, for the next panel discussant, let us welcome back once again on stage, Ms. Zoe Rivera.
Thank you very much. So, I'd like to start off, okay, by calling some of our students so that we can focus on them. I know we have some learners here, grade school, high school. I need 10 of you. Please come forward. Volunteers lang. Bilis. I see some over there. Sige na. Harap na. This is your opportunity to be heard. Lahat ng ginagawa natin ngayon ay dahil sa mga estudyante. Yung mga nakausap ko dyan, sa lamesa, 3 volunteers, come forward, bilis. Sorry, wala akong GCash. Sige, dito, 3. Okay, so let's have some of you here. Okay, great. Please, come forward. Okay, sige. Because we are here, okay, because of this children, correct? Okay, great. So I'd like to quote something, okay? God said, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh. That's including you, okay? And, okay, our sons and daughters, okay, shall prophesy, and our young men shall see visions. What are visions? Vision is looking forward to the future. And our old men shall dream dreams. So, yung mga nauupo, sorry, old na tayo. Okay, so I want those who are seated, okay, to close their eyes and listen to the visions and dreams of these children. I want you to share, okay, what is the profession you want to be in? Okay? So let's just keep passing the mic. Go.
Agriculturist po.
Tourism po.
Political po.
Nursing po.
Psychology po. Occupational therapist po.
Nursing po.
Business po.
Filipino teacher po.
Mape teacher po.
Ano po, BSID?
BSIT din po.
Tech-Voc teacher po. Filipino teacher po.
Right. Great. Thank you very, very much. Let's give these children a big round of applause. Sige. Lapit. Picture tayo. Kuha kayong picture tapos padal mo sa akin. Yes, this is the future. These are the children we're talking about here. Thank you very much. Tangkad. Okay, so with that, our future, unlocking opportunities in the IT BPM industry. Our struggle today is, how do we meet industry needs, right? With the output of education, how do we prepare them? How many of you know what the IT BPM industry is about? Anyone? Or you just heard about it? You know the gig economy. Sino sa inyo ang pumupunta sa Facebook, Twitter, something, at nagbabuy and sell doon? Bumibili online. Well, ayaw mag-admit. Yung buong Pasko, doon napunta yung ano nyo. Right. Okay? So, with the input of technology, our way of life has changed a lot. Okay? Some of you, few years back, were actually working from home. Were you functional? You were, right? You were still able to meet your key performance indicators. You were able to deliver. How many of you are using AI to enhance what you are doing? Sige, admit kayo. I know the students are here. They're listening to you. Yes, right. We all somehow use a chat or an AI, to help us in our work. And that's very necessary. So what is the IT BPM industry? Okay? The Philippine IT BPM industry, okay, at least on IBPAP side, okay, you can see here, okay, the industry leaders or logos of companies that are actually doing work here in the Philippines. And many of these companies do not have what you call like offices, like the banks. They don't have a bank here. We are doing what we call outsourcing for them. We're providing customer service. We're providing HR. We're providing a lot of services that are necessary in the process of conducting a business. Right? So we need not only Tech-Voc students, but most of the individuals, the students who were here, can actually be hired in the IT BPM industry. I'll be honest with you, even teachers, because we have learning and development teams. Okay? So there are no boundaries to the possible growth of the IT BPM industry, which currently were not as many of the semiconductors. They said 2.4 million, 1.8 million lang po kami. Okay? But we do bring in 38 billion. We are around over 15% of the global IT BPM industry here in the Philippines. And in the last years, okay, we were the fastest growing. One of the key factors because of that growth is what we call malasakit. Filipinos had that innate okay, characteristic to want to help. Okay? The IT BPM industry is all about helping improving business processes. As they improve business processes, we are able to highlight that globally so that more companies want to do their business processes here. Okay? And that's how we're able to grow the industry. Okay? So, I will not belabor all the other information there. We'll be willing to share the slides with you in PDF format. Okay, so the IT BPM industry is basically anything that can be done, okay, using the internet, communicating via the internet, can be done using technology. It can be done here in the Philippines. There's no limit. In the numbers I gave you, that still doesn't include our virtual assistants, our content creators, those small businesses that do it on their own. Okay? These numbers we have are for the bigger companies only. So there's no limit to this. These are the skills, all right, or the roles that we have. That's why I'm saying all the students here can join the IT BPM industry. From senior high school graduates, okay, because we are limited only by age, by DOLE, 18 and above lang ang pwedeng i-hire, so kailan senior high graduate, okay? And do you know, even dual citizens, what do I mean dual citizens? Yung mga senior dito. You can find a career in the IT BPM industry. I guarantee you, we do have them. Okay? I did run a Tech-Voc school before. Okay, well, a small Tech-Voc school, but focused on helping people join the IT BPM industry. And the learners were from, you know, college graduates or undergraduates all the way to seniors who were finding a new career path. And the possibilities are endless. So one of the things that can help the educators, okay, and the learners, students, if you want to know what are the possible career path in the IT BPM industry, please check out the Philippine Skills Framework for the IT BPM industry. Okay, this is downloadable on the website of IBPAP. It has a career map, meaning what is the entry level, okay, what is that role, and what are the careers moving forward? Is it a lateral or vertical? For each of those roles, we have indicated what are the skills needed, so that when you plan out your curriculum, you can base it on that. No more guesswork. Okay? This was done through the help of DICT and BTI. So with this, you know, in the IT BPM industry, you can use this as your basis for developing your curriculum in your various schools and finding out where your students get fit in. For the students, ito ang tignan nyo, alright? Para malaman nyo, do I really want this kind of job? Do I have the skills? Can I get it? Where can I learn these skills so that I can do the job mentioned there? Okay? So here are some of the soft skills and hard skills needed. Or what you call the 20th century skills for the, you know, soft skills. And then the main skills in the IT BPM industry. Most of the soft skills, any industry needs that. Okay? Baseline lang po yan. And we will probably talk more about it in the panel discussion. Okay? When I tell students, we have all the ability to learn. We have to develop students, or how would you call it? Citizens who are what we call lifelong learners. Sino po dito sa inyo ang nakapaggamit ng rotary phone po? Yung ding 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 ding, 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 ding. Ay, aminin. All right. And now, what do we have? Androids. You know? No more da-da-da-da-dan. Ayan. Okay. Sino dito sa inyo went through the phase or may Walkman pa siya dati? Ay, tuwa yan, no? So, you know, so nowadays, you go to your phone, okay? You can learn a lot of things. Many of our members have put up websites, and you can use this for your schools. Okay? You can go to, all right? So we have IBM, okay, Accenture Skills to Succeed, IBM Skills Build, Infosys Springboard. You can incorporate, okay, this lessons they have here into the subjects. It is content already from industry. Industry is saying, ay, ito na po, pakituro sa mga estudyante nyo. Okay? Students, you can go here for free. You don't have to wait for the school to get you this. You can do it on your own. Okay? And there's a lot of things for it. So, with that, I thank you and I really appreciate, you know, your gathering here together as educators to look forward for the future of our nation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Zoy. So once again, ihabi natin anong nilalaman ng pananalita or context ng ating IB Pop partner. Our learners are the digital natives. So we, mentors and teachers, we have to engage with these digital natives also using the technologies that we have now. Yung cellphones ninyo, iPhone Pro Max, fully paid. Tingnan nyo daw yung IBM, Infosys Springboard, Accenture, and Skills. So this would channel, this will bridge learning, instruction, using devices, and being familiar with the technology. And with the last panelist that we have, a powerful panelist discussant, let us once again welcome Sir Makoy Ros Rubio.
Mabuhay? Ay, walang sumagot. Mabuhay? Alright. Okay, so why did I start for imabuhay gesture? Okay? Is it really a Filipino gesture? Do we agree? Right. So, because we are in the field of hospitality, in the hospitality sector, and mabuhay is our brand of service. That's why the Department of Tourism has this Filipino brand of service excellence. And this is one of the programs that we offer in Newport World Resorts, in particular in the Academy for Leisure and Tourism. So let me just lay down the groundwork of the things that we do in the Academy and why do we exist. Bakit, ano ba? Are we for profit or are we for CSR? All right? So let me just share with you first my presentation. Yes, all right. So, the Academy for Leisure and Tourism is under Newport World Resorts or formerly Resorts World Manila. Okay, yung bumubulong noon. Okay, so it's no longer, we rebranded into Newport World Resorts and we inaugurated in 2009 a 25-hectare Newport city, right? So that's where we start. So now the question is, Makoy, why is there a school in an integrated resort na may casino? All right? Okay, the tall order for us of the chairman is to really serve the community, to provide training skills that would help them to land a job in the hospitality sector. So that's why the Academy for Leisure and Tourism was built. Okay. So, of course, inside the complex is our 5 international hotel brands, which is the advantage of the students or of the trainees that are coming in our academy. All right. So, of course, Marriott, Sheraton, Hilton, Hotel Okura, and Holiday Inn Express. These are all five-star international hotel brands wherein our students can do their immersion, okay? And there are more than 70 dining options. So just for you to appreciate what kind of facilities do we have to cater to our students, okay? And of course, our entertainment and shopping experience, the Newport Performing Arts Theater, our Newport Mall, and of course, now the country's premier integrated resort is also the biggest campus for ultimate immersive education in tourism and hospitality. Imagine, hindi ka on a typical laboratory, right? Or on a mock restaurant. You are on a live learning laboratory discussing, communicating, serving guests, right? So you are performing inside a functioning hotel, a five-star hotel, embedding you with a five-star brand. So that's how the Academy for Leisure and Tourism exists. So our tagline is really a world of learning and more, because the Academy for Leisure and Tourism is actually the talent development arm of Newport World Resorts. So ano ba yung, how does it work? Okay, so in Newport World Resorts, the challenge was, okay, that's for the later slide, but in Newport World Resorts, we always have hiring of talents for our operations team and even in the back office. And we want to mitigate that hiring nung may laging nawawala, okay? And there's a valid reason bakit nawawala, okay? I'm not saying na hindi po maganda ang work environment sa Newport World Resorts. I will disagree to that because of what will I share with you later on about the work that we do and how comprehensive our company is, right? So, first, the tourism and hospitality market size in the Philippines is estimated at 8.41 billion for 2026. And this is going to increase in the next 5 years up to 11.90 billion. Okay? So hindi po ito gawa-gawa lang. Meron talagang statistics na pinanggagalingan yan. The tourism and hospitality sector is increasing. Okay? Bakit po tayo nagpapagawa ng bagong airport sa Bulacan? Okay? Bakit ang Vietnam is creating a new airport medyo malayo from the typical airport that they have right now? And Singapore is expanding from Terminal 4 to Terminal 5 because they are boosting their tourism and economy. So, hence, there's really a need for people in the tourism and hospitality. However, okay, to add to that, bakit po ang ating Department of Tourism ay umaattend ng trade and tourism expositions? Like sa Japan, na-awardan po ang ating Filipino contingent with our expos. Our airport, bakit tayo may airport decongestions? We have constructions and even improvements happening right now. Infrastructure on railways, di ba? Meron na po tayong railways na binibuild ngayon going up to Clark Airport, right? And even connecting our islands easier because this is the reason why. Marami pa rin pong nagre-revenge travel kahit 2025 at 2026. Yung mga na-miss ang magbakasyon nung pandemic, no? But there was a challenge, I would say. The challenge is that there's a decreasing Filipino talents every year. Our attrition rate is high, not because they are happy, but because the Filipino talents are very in demand abroad. Okay? So it's not the reason na pangit ang management and whatnot, but it's because there was an in-demand for talents, Filipino talents abroad. Even in cruise lines, you would see most of the talents are Filipinos. Okay? So, with that, our challenge, or the challenge of NWR, is to recruit more, to find more talents. Pero minsan nauubos din yung talents. And that's how we are created to develop the talent, to get more students and trainees, to provide them with skills necessary for their employment in the hospitality sector. So it's a nationally certified skill. So we are TESDA accredited, by the way. And With our number of hotel inventories under Alliance Global, so Newport World Resorts under Alliance Global, we have 7,455 rooms to date, and our target by 2029 is 11,640. There's a continuous demand. We're still developing, we're still creating, or we're still building more hotels in, not just in Manila, but across the Philippines. And we believe that training more professionals is essential to maintaining growth and opportunities in the country's tourism and hospitality sector. Marami po tayong pangangailangan dyan. And for us in the Academy, just to share, our mission is to produce certified world-class hospitality professionals through our world-class facilities, immersion in our hotels and resorts, and training provided by our experts who were multi-awarded, by the way, for our culinary team. And most recently, they bagged 90 medals in the Philippine Culinary Cup. And as a world-class workplace, of course, our hotel awards. So, yan. I would disagree na hindi kami okay na employer. So, ito po yung sagot, okay? It's really the reason why people are leaving is because the opportunity, the financial opportunity outside of the Philippines. Yeah. So just briefly sharing some of the awards that we received through the years. And of course, our world-class programs. So bakit namin sinabing world-class programs? Makoy, this is the typical TESDA NC2 programs. Okay? Actually, it's not. We embedded more because we found out that these are the skills needed by the students or by the next workforce. All of these skills, all of these topics were embedded as special topics in our classes, right? So that's how we do it. Nako, last 2 minutes na daw ako. Okay, so just a couple of milestones that we have is that we partnered, what Ms. Jofin shared earlier was the Enhanced Work Immersion Program. So we provided students from Rahas Soliman Science and Technology High School, if you guys are here, a 420 hours work immersion program wherein they provided foundational courses before they are deployed for their immersion. And as part of that 2 weeks foundational courses, part of the 400 hours immersion, they are rotated across different hotel properties. So, for example, naka-deploy siya ngayon sa HR ng Marriott, or rather Sheraton. After his or her 200 hours, lilipat siya to another hotel property, like for example, Newport World Resorts Finance, so that the students will have an experience of which particular area siya mag-excel. So we're exposing them on different hotel brands, different departments, so that they would know what they really want. And these are some of the stories inside the academy that we have when we have their deployment and their foundational courses. And we're very proud of our graduates' employability and success stories. Batch 1 alumna awarded immediately for the Q1 of Hilton Manila as a Make It Right Superstar. And of course, sabi nga kanina, we need to provide career guidance. So ano, train lang kami ng train? So no, we also prepare them for career mentorship, resume writing, acing the job interviews. Not all schools provide this kind of opportunity to our students. And the ones providing the training are industry practitioners, by the way. These are the HR partners of NWR. And we provide career fair. Right on. Ando na yung hotels 5 international brands. So there we go. And what we're very proud of is that this batch has 100% employability rate, and these are their employers. They are either direct hire or indirect hire. Okay? And almost there, to show you that there's really a growing demand for the tourism and hospitality sector, particularly us in Newport World Resorts. This building is called Westside, a new integrated resort launching soon this 2026. This is near Okada and Soler. So we're opening this up with 3,500 rooms, and we will be needing, 1,400 rooms, and we will be needing 3,500 manpower for this one. And it's set to open in Q3 of 2026. So ito na siya ngayon. So we're already on mass hiring at the moment. And we wanted to share this opportunity that we have scholarship programs, full and partial, in the academy to support, to provide training, and be able to land a job in the hospitality sector. So that's for me, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Sir Alan. Again, a warm round of applause to our panel discussants. Palakpakan po natin sila. We are doing this panel discussion for you to be oriented and connected with these industries later on. Lapitan niyo po sila mamaya, ligawan niyo sila, and have your partners engage in their industries. They are very much privileged to welcome our senior high school learners. Before we proceed with our Q&A portion and have our panelists water break, may I call on stage, once again, Director Mark, to introduce us a very special guest this morning.
Once again, Ms. Sel, no? So before we call back our panel presenters earlier, we'd like to give them some rest, to also give this time, no, to introduce to you a very important guest that we have with us today. He's no other than the Assistant Secretary for the Learning Systems Strand, Assistant Secretary Janir Tidatukan. Sir, good morning.
Hello. Good morning. Morning pa naman, ano. Good morning. Sorry I was late because we had another event with the Mayors League of the Philippines, because you know, DepEd has a big budget for infrastructure, and we're working with our LGUs to ensure that the budget for classrooms will be used effectively, at sana may makita na tayo mga classrooms na build within the year. So they promised to help us with that, and that's why inuna ko muna yun, sorry. Alam ko equally important, kaya immediately after tumakbo po ako dito. Literally tumakbo po. Naka-high heels. There's a prepared speech for me, pero I'd rather talk to you more candidly. No? Sino dito ang mga taga-DepEd? Teachers, school principals, heads, marami. Who are from the private sector here? Diba? Talong-talo kayo. Joke. Iilan lang sila. We have private sector representatives here. Now, this is a pivotal moment, sabi nga nila. No? Lumabas ang EDCOM 2, the final report, turning point. And this is indeed a turning point in the history of education reforms. Kasi we've seen the problems, we've seen the gaps, and now we are here to address them. Nagsisimula na ang reforms, education, ever since the first EDCOM 2 report was released. And one of the gaps that they've seen is partnership with industry. Diba, lagi sinasabi, employability of our senior high school learners. And I remember going to the House of Representatives, always defending DepEd in front of Congressman Romulo and the Committee on Basic Education. Ang hirap i-defend because really, we have not lived up to the expectation of K-12 in terms of employability. And there is one key problem doon sa issue na yan, and that is hindi aligned. No? Hindi aligned. So, sinasabi ko nga, it's a pivotal moment because for now, for the first time perhaps in the long history of the K-12 curriculum, nag-uusap ang DepEd, ang TESDA, at ang private sector. Now, I attended the most recent HOR hearing. We were supposed to be talking about other things and then bumalik sa usaping alignment, no? among TESDA, DepEd, and the private sector. At laging pinipilit ng private sector, please listen to us. Diba? Please listen to us. This is the paradigm of how we will hire your students, your graduates, and anyone else kahit sa CHED. Pagkatapos ng higher education, these are the skills that we need to hire them. No? And one issue that was raised, I'm saying this factually, I'm not saying this to point fingers. Okay? Kasi sabi ko nga, it's about time we kind of face reality and we face ourselves. Ano ba talaga ang mali? Anong kulang? Ayusin natin. Because we can't be doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again, expecting to get different results. We will always get the same results. Our graduates will not be employable. Diba? So what was the one thing that was raised there really is alignment. Sinasabi ng private sector, isang company, ang isang example doon, and I don't want to drop names, pero I wanted to really say this because this was in that hearing, was Toyota. Toyota had training regulations that they drafted for them to hire people in their company. But at the time that it was presented, the other agencies were not keen on following it. Ang sinasabi, we have our own regulations, we have our own rules. At sinabi ng Toyota, well, this is what we want. And then the government apparently, in general, is saying, no, this is what we want. So nangyari, okay, you can do whatever you want, but we won't be hiring those people because we have this. Kaya ngayon, I think, if I'm not mistaken, TESDA has already made arrangements to accommodate such requests and recommendations from the company. And I think that's a good step forward because really, ikaw kung may-ari ka ng business, for example, I'm a business owner, I need specific skills for people to work with me. At kung ikaw ay na-hire ko to give me manpower, I expect to see that skill. And if I don't see that, magta-train pa ako ulit to get that skill. Diba? So we need to be aligned with one another. We need to be on the same page. We need to work together. We need to work together. And who best to tell us what they need and what we need to train our learners than our private sector. Hindi natin sinasabi na kung ano sasabihin nila, yan na yon. Sila na masusunod. We have a common ground. We need to talk. No? And this is good because I attribute everything to Secretary Sani Angara for being open to discussions with so many groups, including the private sector. Diba? So again, pivotal moment, ang dami-dami natin dito. We start conversations, we listen to presentations, no? We take into consideration everything that was presented to us. No, and then we look at our context. You know, we can always come to a common ground without compromising our standards, our values, because we have minimum. Ito yon. These are non-negotiables. Ito po ang kailangan namin. But beyond this, we can discuss. Okay? Alignment ito. This is, again, unprecedented in the history of our system, of our education system that we are talking. Sabi ko nga, even DepEd and CHED and TESDA, we had our second trifocal management committee meeting last week in Ilocos Sur, in Lawag. Nag-meeting ulit kaming tatlo because gusto namin this time aligned na kami. Yung mga graduates natin, pwede nang maraming exits, right? Pwedeng higher ed, pwede silang mag-TESDA, pwede silang mag-entrepreneur, employable, middle-level management. Gawin nila lahat yun. And then they can go across levels. For example, nagtrabaho ako, kumuha ako ng mga NCs, nasa company na ako, and then I realized, gusto ko magkaroon ng bachelor's degree. Dati, hindi pwede. Di ba? Sasabihin ng school, nagtrabaho ka na wala ka nitong ganito Ito yung background na kailangan namin. Remember ladderization? That was actually a landmark law that was also signed by Secretary Sani Angara when he was senator. Bubuhayin natin yun at palalakasin natin because we need these mechanisms to ensure na lahat ng kailangan ng ating mga mamamayan, ibibigay natin. So when I want to go back to school after working, there should be a mechanism for accepting that. Kasi lagi nilang sinasabi, galit na ba sa akin ng may wala na. Okay. Live pala ito. So, doon na lang po nagtatapos. Dami kong sinabi. Baka mamaya makakalanggap ako ng letter, di ba? Yun, may mechanism tayo to go from one corner of education to another. Trifocal nga eh. These are the education systems of our country. So, pag ikaw ay madali kasi pag diretso kang higher ed, bachelor's degree, master's degree, even postmaster, so meron kang PhD, mas madaling maghanap ng trabaho kasi straightforward. But what if you went the other direction? Kadalasan, it's a dead-end thing, di ba? You go to work, gusto mo mag-aral ulit, you start from scratch. What happens to the skills that you develop along the way? So that's also being considered. And I'm bringing this up to you, to all of you, because ayaw na rin namin sa DepEd na iniisip, ay magta-Tech-Voc ka lang, no? Diba? Hindi Tech-Voc lang. Ako, I'm a scientist. I finished a degree in chemistry. No, I practiced chemistry for a while before I joined the academy and the Department of Education. And alam mo, bilib na bilib ako sa mga nag-work sa mga factories, nag-work sa mga industries, because those skills I will never gain inside the laboratory. Those skills I will never gain inside the classroom. And they've been doing that for years. They've been honing their skills for years. In fact, feeling ko mas magaling sila sa akin kasi sa akin, ang alam ko theory, I try to put it in practice. That is practice in its truest sense. Kung kami ay science, sila ang technology at sila ang magpapatakbo ng mundo. So let's help one another achieve our goals. Yung mga bata, sana mabigyan natin ng necessary skills that the industry wants and needs, no? So that they can be employable, gainfully employed. We're not talking about just regular jobs. We're talking about jobs that can support their families, that can support their needs. So we're here at DepEd, ensure that we will listen to all of you and we will settle all differences so that in the end, iisa pong direction natin para sa mga bata. Maraming salamat po. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you very much, Asik Janir, for that short but rich update. May I request Asik Janir to please stay on stage, and we would like to call once again our panel discussants for this morning, together with Director Peter Mark Magsalin and the TWG, for a photo opportunity. We also would like to ask our ARDs and other regional directors here to join us for the photo opportunity. Sir Andoni. May we also invite DDG Nelly on stage? May we also invite Chief Eileen and Ma'am Cecil to join us on stage. Ma'am Eileen, Ma'am Cecil.
The Office of Land Learning Strand System, please stand by for the photo op.
All right, thank you very much. So at this juncture,
Calling the Learning Strand System for the photo op. On stage, please.
Learning System Strand.
calling once again the Learning Systems Strand on stage for the photo opportunity. Together with Asik Janir. And this time, let's have the crowd chat.
Crowd chat po. LS. We invite everyone to please stand for a crowd shot.
May we request all of our discussants, Sir Roel Capistrano, Sir Alan P. Tumonera, Sir Zoe Diaz D. Rivera, ma'am, and Sir Mark Ross Rubio for our panel discussion.
So we've come now to the question and answer. After those presentation earlier, I'm sure most of you are waiting of what is the gist of having this panel discussion with the powerhouse panelists natin. So we have Sir McCoy from Resorts World and Hotel and Tourism. We have Sir Alan from Fastech. We have Ma'am Zoe from iBPOP. And of course, our very own from the Curriculum Development, Sir R.C. Capistrano. These questions would be really a clarification or a better clear. It would be a clear purpose of why we are here and why we are having this kind of session for this Tech-Voc Summit. To begin with, allow me to have this question muna on how is this going with the curriculum with these industry partners. If I may start, Sir Roel, for the question on how can the curriculum ensures that the senior high school tech pro track produces graduate with certification standards in the global market?
Yeah, we ensure by having this, strengthen to have, sorry, I forgot. Okay, so we ensure that the curriculum are aligned with the industry demands. At the same time, we consider that the curriculum explicitly have the skills aligned with the ASEAN framework and at the same time the PQRF, okay, or the PQF. And also, the competencies are also aligned with the tested training regulations, okay? Because our learners at the end of the curriculum, before or after the graduation, learners in technical-professional track will have a free national certification. Okay? And that certification will tell us that these learners are competent or ready to enter the workforce.
Okay, thank you, Sir RC. For all we know, our learners, their springboard is the foundational education that we have now in our curriculum. Now that we call it Tech Pro Track, we look into these learners would be professionals and at the same time, they are technically skilled. Now, my question now for our semiconductor industry, Sir Alan, if you may. With the rise of the AI and automation, what specific future-proof skills should Tech-Voc learners focus on?
Okay. In the case of our industry, there are segments of the activity, manufacturing, if you may, and let me divide that with what I would say the front end. The front end is characterized as the type of operations that require large capital. We're talking about billions of dollars and technology intensive. And yes, the factory is highly automated because there's no way manual operation is possible. You are talking about the fabs, okay? That is not happening in the Philippines. Now, the one that I mentioned, which is assembly, test, and packaging, enables those chips because those chips by itself are useless until they are packaged so that it can interact with the rest of the world. These kind of activities are what we call process intensive, less capital intensive, and by extension, a process requires skills. And that's where we come in. That's why the ratio is for every $1 investment or $1 billion investment, if you may, in the front requires 3 people, 1:3 ang ratio. So if the US employs 20,000 and they cannot package it, they have to find a friendly country to bring those chips and say, can you package this for us? And that's going to be 60,000 working on that. That's process, ergo skills. So AI will be in the monitoring, troubleshooting, but robots, maybe at best, even with my best estimate, we could probably replace maximum 20-25% of the workforce, but not more than that.
All right. So thank you, Sir Alan. So the process, so even we are now in the automation world, it doesn't mean that the skills are not necessary for the workforce. Again, only 25% of the workforce may use automation and robots. But still, importante pa rin yung hardcore skills that we frame with our students. Thank you, Sir Alan. For our IB Pop panelist, Ma'am Zoe, how can the education sector better prepare students of the soft skills demand?
Well, one of the basic soft skills that I think most industry needs right now is for students to be able to be agile and adaptable with grit. Okay, what do I mean by that? Technology, AI, all of this are changing. Before it was blockchain, it was something else. Okay, so we have to have the students, or we ourselves have to have that ability to pivot and learn new technology. That's why lifelong learning is important. So the skill to be agile is important. And then why grit? Grit because change is a mindset. You know the phrase, it's hard to teach old dogs new trick? That cannot apply anymore. Oh, sino? Okay? So sino dito? Consider yourself an old dog, but you know how to use AI. Okay? O, diba? Right? So wala na yung saying na yon. Continuously, until the day we meet our Lord, I'll be honest with you. The world changes, life happens, we have to survive. Okay? And technology is with us and will never go away.
Thank you, Ma'am Zoe. So remember, agile, grit, and lifelong learning. So that's the secret of having abreast of the technology. Sabi nga, iPhone 17 ngayon, bukas 18 na. Mamaya lalabas na daw. Okay. For the question for Sir McCoy, for hospitality and tourism, given the seasonal nature of tourism, how can vocational training provide our learners with transferable skills that allow for year-round career stability?
Yeah. Actually, the good thing about that is that there's a cross-functional or cross-sectoral training that we can do. And that's why when we have this in the academy, we are very near with our HR practitioners, with industry practitioners. So whenever there's a potential need, we were able to iterate our curriculum. If not iterate, we were able to inject more topics so that the students are prepared whether they finish F&B, housekeeping. There are additional trainings that they have that they can implement or that they can use moving forward whenever they're out of the hospitality sector or tourism sector. So, yeah.
Okay, just a quick transformation. It was called before Hotel and Restaurant Management, and now it's called Hospitality and Tourism Management. And somehow, ang cruise line, pumapasok na siya as one of the industries relative to tourism and hospitality. Thank you for your answers. We would also like to entertain questions from our audience here. Ma'am Jelay, do we have a phone-in question from our participants here? Meron po ba? Okay, so wala po. How about from our Facebook live streaming? Wala din. With that, I have questions pa, if you may allow. One more questions for our panel discussants. Addressing the mismatch from your specific industry's perspective, what is the biggest bottleneck currently preventing for achieving the 100% employment?
Yeah, let me start, Michelle. Okay, sa curriculum, ni-ready na natin ang curriculum natin eh. Okay, naka-ready na. Siguro, sa masasabi ko ay yung acceptance ng industry. Okay. Kasi meron pa rin connotation, hindi pa nila kaya. Okay. Pero with the strengthened senior high school curriculum, specifically for technical professional track, we aligned already the competencies sa industry. We consulted the industry at the same time, actually, in drafting the curriculum. At isa pa sa medyo kailangan nating gamutin ay yung ating mga learning resources. Especially sa trade, sa yung mga makina na ginagamit natin, the learning tools or mga equipment natin, hindi siya ma-align. Okay. So medyo binigay sa atin pero hindi siya magamit.
There's also a mismatch.
Yeah, so there's a mismatch. So siguro yun, ginagamot natin ang curriculum. Okay, nagamot na natin. Delivery, the learning resources, learning resources rather, yun ang kailangan natin gamutin. And of course, masasabi natin itong industry partners natin, i-accept na yung mga learners natin kasi aligned na tayo. So yun, Misa, sa akin.
Okay, thank you. I agree with that, no, Sir RC. And like I said earlier, our panelist was once our validator, consultants, when we were developing the curriculum. So, I would not deny that they are part in crafting the curriculum that we are using right now in the K-10 and the strengthened senior high school. So, I guess we have one question from our audience there. Yes, ma'am. Please have your name and SDO.
Good morning po sa lahat. I'm Ma'am Liza Banayo po from SDO Antipolo. And we are one of the 891 pilot implementers of the strengthened senior high school curriculum. And ang worry ko lang po kasi when our learners are already in grade 12, during the work immersion program, since may extend po siya from 80 hours to 640, yung ratio po ng mga industry partners natin who will cater our students. Kasi in our standalone senior high school, we are catering more than 1,000 learners. And I'm thinking now, who are those industry partners who will cater that big number of students? Kasi personally, I appreciate the efforts of Department of Education. But yung programa maganda kasi talagang mas mai-immerse yung learners natin sa field ng mas matagal. Pero sa ngayon po, with the 80 hours na work immersion ng ating mga learners, nahihirapan kami sa partnership. So, siguro po, it's not only our experience, it's the experience of most of the senior high schools. Kaya yun po siguro yung gusto nating malaman. And meron ba tayong isi-certify na mga industry partners? And kasi kailangan meron din silang orientation. Paano i-handle itong ating mga learners kapag ka sila ay napunta na sa labas. Yun po, thank you so much po.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for escalating that concern. So that is work immersion, parallel to our industries to. So yung pagtanggap daw po, other than the concern on the volume of the learners who will be having the work immersion, in concert with the college students who is also taking OJTs. Siguro let's hear answer muna sa ating curriculum.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. First thing, we should have the industry mapping first. Okay. Kasi we are the feeders of the industry. If we are going to offer an elective or specialization which is not aligned with the industry, we should not offer it. Saan pupunta eh? Saan pupunta yung bata? Okay. At the same time, meron tayong mga schools na dapat lang talagang sila nag-o-offer ng ganitong specializations. And we are now moving forward to the for the quality assurance of technical professional offerings. Okay, with that, masasabi natin na itong mga schools na to ay hindi nararapat na mag-offer ng isang specializations or elective kasi hindi sila capable. Number one, wala silang industry. That is in relation to DO 54 series of 2022. Then the second one, meron po tayong flexibility to offer the work immersion. Okay. We can offer it during the first semester or the second semester. And our team, led by our director, Peter Mark Magsalin, no, we're finalizing the curriculum. Okay. Then, naandun po yung guidelines on how are you going to deliver the strengthened work immersion program. Okay. So, yun sa side ng curriculum. And, thank you po.
Ayan, thank you, Sir RC. How about to our industry partners? So, the bottleneck is from our school, most of the industries daw do not accept really or do not have the capacity to absorb a volume of learners parallel to their electives.
I've always advocated at implementing this at the regional level because every region is different. If you go to Cagayan, it's anchored on agriculture. And there's a big employer there, Del Monte. But Calabarzon were characterized. In Antipolo, cement industry. So, at the region, you have your regional economic council. Okay? The model is, do you want to create a curriculum that caters to your region's requirement, or do you want to produce workers that will migrate? They're employable, but they won't stay in your region. So it's a basic question that the region has to ask itself. Are we producing migratory workers? Or do we want them to serve the needs of the region? And not every region will have the same or at the same stage of development. Some will be not using AI. Some, in our case, even the colleges are unable to deliver. Engineering curriculum does not include what we call SQL. And we have migrated our data system. We don't use Excel. You have to extract data. It's not the job of the IT department. The job of the IT department is to deliver the data to you. How you use it, how you interpret it is your business. Combine that with your domain. But let's take a back step. Basic education muna tayo because that's the audience here. I've seen the laboratory of Pisay. And I have seen the laboratory of a Tech-Voc in Laguna, where some of the students don't have shoes, slippers. Iba. I understand that. The resources will not be, but we have to start somewhere. Mag-o-offer ka ba ng carpentry or mag-o-offer ka ng electrician? You can offer both. You decide anong kailangan ninyo. Talk to the industry, Chamber of Commerce, get them to the table. Then you would have the idea, because I was saddened with the statement, graduates are finding it hard to find jobs. I'll tell you what, we're finding it hard to recruit, to fill our needs. So what's the problem? As long as we keep to work together and we work fast in time, because some of these things, these objectives are time-bound. Pag lumampas na yung oras, wala na. We just have to keep on working together, bring it to the level of the region or even district, because not everyone will be the same. The solution for Antipolo will be different, for Eastern Samar will be different for Laguna. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Alan. So, for the mismatch, the first thing to do siguro is to map. Regional mapping, curriculum mapping, potential partners mapping, which is stipulated in the O54 series of 2022. So that's for manufacturing.
Thank you much po. Some of the participants din po are requesting kung pwede raw pong makahingi ng mga presentations today. Thank you po.
Okay. Probably po, if our panel discussants would allow, we will be posting QR code na lang po para ma-access nyo yung ating mga presentations. Once again, we thank our powerhouse discussant this morning for sharing their expertise, and of course to our audience for staying while waiting for our lunch. No? Maraming salamat, and we'll see you in a while. May I turn on the floor to our beautiful MCs.
This is truly an illuminating discussion. To our moderator and our esteemed panelists, thank you. And we are requesting our panelists to stay on stage for the awarding of certificates. May we also request our ASEC Junior Datukan and Director Mark Magsalin to award these certificates. As well as DJ Nelly to award the certificate, and ARD Vergara. Allow us to read the citation. Republic of the Philippines, Department of Education, DepEd Complex, Meralco Avenue, Pasig City. Certificate of Recognition. This certificate is presented to our panelists in recognition of invaluable contributions as panel speaker during the National Tech-Voc Summit held at the Great Eastern Hotel, Quezon City on January 28, 2026. Given this 28th day of January 2026 in Quezon City, Philippines. Signed, Carmela C. Oracion, Assistant Secretary, Officer in Charge, Office of the Undersecretary for Learning Systems.
Let's give them a round of applause, please. And before we proceed to the buffet area, some few reminders. So may I remind everyone, Ma'am Gail, about the ongoing exhibit of Academy for Leisure and Tourism and Mechanics and Robotics Society of the Philippines, located at the entrance of our hall. And to those who don't have their learning kit yet, you can still claim them at the registration area. Ma'am Gail. That concludes our morning session. Please join back us here at exactly 1 p.m. for more vital discussions later this afternoon.
Thank you very much, everyone. See you later.